Hi everyone, today we'd like to talk about the BASIL study. We are really fortunate to have Mary and Richard with us today. They both completed the BASIL Behavioural Activation course and we are keen to hear their views on how they found it. In 2020, when the COVID pandemic hit, we were just about to deliver a large-scale trial of a guided self-help intervention for older adults with multiple long-term health conditions and low mood. We had to act extremely quickly to transform it into BASIL, a similar study, but one which could be delivered and evaluated entirely remotely, something we had never done before. Participants such as Mary and Richard were helped by a trained BASIL support worker to use the BASIL booklet. The booklet looked at ways to help them keep doing the activities they found useful in their life. Where activities had to stop, for example, due to being physically too difficult or because of the pandemic restrictions, the BASIL support worker helped them to look at alternative activities which would help them keep the important things they got out of doing those activities in their life. As part of helping participants utilise support which was available to them, the BASIL support workers would help the participant to find out and access services from their GPs, as well as other agencies and groups, to help them maintain their well-being and carry on being able to do the things which were important to them.
So, Mary, can we start by asking you how you feel about being involved in the study?
Yeah, I was very excited at that time because I just lost my daughter and she was my best friend. And having somebody to talk to once a week about it was good. And then I overcame that with the person who was on the other end of the line. And she used to give me little tasks to do each day because I just didn't feel as though I wanted to get out of bed, get washed or do anything. As I said, I'd lost my best friend and she was also my daughter. And so when it came to it, I did really understand where she was coming from and she did help me a lot. And she sent me a BASIL booklet, and in that booklet you write things down and do things each day, a little bit at a time, and she just kept me going. And if it weren't for her, I won't be doing the activities I was doing today as I would then. I joined a group and we go walking every Wednesday. And I've been going on that group since BASIL ended. And it really helped me to get over things and do things more for myself.
Do you think that being involved in the study has had an impact on the level of loneliness that you might feel?
Oh, yeah, it did. I was very low and I was in a really dark place. And then COVID came along and then that even made me darker. You live in a flat, 4 walls, and we weren't going out. And I didn't know my neighbours. I mean, I'd been there, I lived there a long, long time. But neighbours come and go, they die off and things like that. So I was more or less on my own. And it really did help me. She did really help me.
That's really good to know, Mary. And I know one of the things that you mentioned when you were speaking to one of my colleagues before was that you felt it kind of fetched me out of being in a cocoon and stopped you being bored and everything. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, it wasn't that. It was boredom. It wasn't boredom as people think, oh, I'm bored. No, it were a different kind of boredom. I was stuck in a rut of doing nothing. And she really helped me. And we really got to a point where one bit I thought, oh, I won't be able to do anything without her. But I did. I overcame that and she helped me. And we did all right at the end, Everything's come out okay.
That's good. Yeah. That's really good to know, Mary. What about yourself, Richard? How did you find being involved in the intervention?
It was a lifeline. I was approached by my GP first to ask if I would like to take part in the study. And I understood from what they said that there would be an active group and a passive group. I became part of the active group and was given an advisor who became a lifeline. She did. She was absolutely brilliant. I was, at that time, quite an active person, but mostly outdoors. And when I was told I couldn't go out of my flat, it was like my legs were taken away from me. What happened was that she persuaded me, first of all, to structure my day properly, which was in 2-hour bites. And I have still got the chart on the wall, and I still follow it today. She did. She also helped me get through the death of my mother. My mother died in the second week of COVID lockdown, but it wasn't just COVID, it was old age. She was 97 years of age. But of course, I was not allowed to go to the funeral. So Andrea suggested to me several things that I could do, and I actually did give my mother's eulogy in the church via the internet. I did. I know it's laughable, but my sisters, I've got 2 sisters and a brother, said it was probably better than me being there. I also was encouraged to take up different things. In the 2-hour bites, I took up art. Now, bearing in mind that I did not ever pick up a pencil or a piece of paper to do any drawing until I retired, I now have become not a well-known artist, but a good amateur artist, and I'm running a group each fortnight in one of the local centres in Yarm. And that was through the encouragement of the support worker. I still, like Mary, carry on doing things today the way I did during lockdown. Everything is in 2-hour bites. It is. And I would suggest that that is the way forward for everybody. It's a lifeline, and it was a lifeline at the time, because being suddenly locked away with no family anywhere near was shocking for somebody of my age. But it was great. I got through it, and I'm still here.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. So thinking about the sessions, Mary and Richard, I think you both had the 8 sessions. What did you feel about the length of the sessions and how often you spoke to the support worker?
Well, the length of the sessions were all right. In fact, I think I used to go over longer than the sessions that she used to say to me. And I think she was trying to say, well, yeah, that's it, Mary. And I go, oh, well, can I ask you this? Can I ask you? And she, you know, she were really good. The sessions were good. And when she started going like once a month, I were a bit disappointed because I wanted to talk to somebody once a week, really. But there again, she really did everything for me. And like I said before, if it weren't for them sessions, I don't think I'd be here today.
Okay. So you were saying that you didn't want the sessions to end, really?
I didn't know. They were, like I say, it were a lifeline at that moment in time. And she were there when I needed her.
Good. And Richard?
Well, Mary said it all. The sessions were perhaps not frequent enough sometimes, particularly in the later stages, because we were talking to a friend by then. She wasn't an advisor or a support worker. She had so much empathy and so much knowledge of what she thought we were going through, and I think we were helping her by explaining what we were going through, that I just didn't want it to end.
Yeah.
And the length was, well, like Mary, I always used to go over because I'm a talker.
Okay. And the booklets, you both had some booklets to work through. How did you find those?
Oh, the booklet was really good. She used to come back to me. She used to give me a part to read, and when she came back to me the following week, and she used to ask me how I made out with that, and did I understand it, and is it any use to me, and if it wasn't, we'd go to a next part. But she used to explain it all to me, and yeah, it was good because I'm a bit. I'm not saying useless, but a bit dozy about understanding things. You have to read things 3 or 4 times before it sinks in, should I say.
And Richard?
I did the work in the booklet, and sometimes I did it more than once, because as you went through each section, different things came to you at different times. And after I'd been unlocked and allowed to escape from my flat, I used to take the booklet with me on my walks that I used to do. And sometimes I would sit at one end of a seat on the riverbank in Yarm, and somebody else would sit on the other end. And the thing about that time was everybody started talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, because I would get the book out and read a bit or read the next bit or whatever, and people would ask me what it was about. And it was surprising the number of people that were interested in what I was doing and why I was doing it. And they said, "Oh, how can we get on it?" But I said, "Sorry, that's my baby, not yours."
So that's some really good insights into how you found the study. Since you took part, bearing in mind that it is some time ago now, do you think there's been any lasting change in your mood or your general well-being?
Yes, there has been a long-lasting in my moods. I don't get as moody as what I did, and I'm not as low, and I never want to go back to that black hole that I were in before she started talking to me. But my moods have changed, and the world seems a better place anyway to me.
And Richard?
My mood has never been bad, because I'm a positive person, or at least I think I am. But the trouble was that lockdown knocked the stuffing out of me. What's happened since then is that I have taken on volunteering roles, which I never even considered before lockdown. And it's all through the support worker I had and the study. Mm-hmm. It's changed my life, for want of a better word.
That's brilliant, Richard. It sounds like it's had a lasting impact as it has on yourself, Mary, as well. And you mentioned there that you feel that it's had an impact on how you're feeling, and you don't feel that you're in the same place as you were before. Do you think it's had an effect on your physical health as well at all?
Oh, yeah, of course it has, yeah. My physical health. Yeah, I would never have gone out walking with strangers, but I do now. I do every Wednesday. I go out walking with, different people. It's anybody's club. It's run by St Martin's Practice, but it's not the same people every week. Some people drop out. But I look forward to it because that's what she said to do, is to meet plenty of people. They're all in the same boat as what I were in with lockdown and bereavement. And so she really did me a really good turn, and I've been walking ever since, So, I mean, I look forward to it.
So that sounds like you've got the social contact with different people, but also, as you say, it's helped with your your physical health as well, because
Oh,
you're
of
more
course.
active and you're getting out there and,
Yeah, of
and
course.
doing things. And what about you, Richard? Do you feel that that it has helped with your physical health?
It definitely has. I'm 80 years. I'm over 80 years of age, and I was told by a doctor recently that I'm as fit as most 80-year-olds that they've seen. I asked a question: how long do you think I will be able to live independently? Now, this is a question, of course, which my family want to know. She said, well, I can see you living on your own until you're at least 95.
Oh,
Oh, that's quite
Wow.
quite a way off as well.
And being somebody before lockdown, where I was, for want of a better word, never away from the doctors, I only see them when it's absolutely necessary now. It also has the effect that because I'm healthier and fitter, that I take part in other activities quite a lot. Like Mary, I go walking regularly with groups of people, mainly organised by Age UK on Teesside. I also, until recently, volunteered for them since lockdown, but I've had to stop that because standing on my feet, it's not something wrong with me. I was told it was just old age. I also took the advice, and I go weekly to a group which is called Manta, which is run by Mind. And it's a men's mental health group where groups of men, sorry ladies, no ladies present at that group, we sit there and we talk about anything and everything, including our mental health. But talking is the biggest curer of mental health. When I first went, it took me 3 weeks before I got myself through the door. But once you're through the door, which is the big barrier, you then sat down, listened to what was being said, and probably didn't say anything for a few weeks. But it's again, I'll be there tomorrow. So, and that's through Yarm Wellness Centre, which is again a wellness group in the area. Life's good now.
Oh, I think that's a really nice kind of sentiment to kind of conclude that really useful information that you've given us there, that you feel it, it has really helped and life is good. So if you were to sum up your experience of being involved in this research trial, what would you say? What would you say, Mary?
well, I'm glad there was something like this came along at the time it did, because if it hadn't been, like I said before, I don't think I'd have been around. I was just so down, and I just couldn't cope at all. And like I said, she's really made me feel as though I should be living, even though I've lost someone that you really love. That there's life out there, and don't mope on your laurels. Just get on with it, And I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad they picked me as one to participate in it.
It sounds like it was a really difficult time for you then, but as you say, being involved in Basel helped you too.
It was a lifeline.
Yeah.
So it was like somebody were upstairs were looking after me, and they threw me this lifeline when I needed it, and it was really good. And there's not really I can really say that I just get emotional when I'm talking about it, but it's just that it was a lifeline, and I'm really thankful that they came along when they did, because there was nowhere I could look. I didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just going into lockdown, and it was just one of them things, and she were there for me.
So it sounds it came along just at the right,
It
just
did.
at the right time
Yeah.
for you, really. Okay. And what about yourself, Richard? Is there anything that you'd like to add, just to kind of sum up what your experience of the research trial has been?
I can't say it enough, but it was a lifeline. And the Basil study may have been a study, but I was talking to a friend.
Yeah.
I was. And that is what you need. It was okay talking to the kids, but of course you were talking to the kids. You were. And there were certain things you said and certain things you couldn't say. With the support worker, Andrea, I could open up, which is what I do all the time. I don't let things lie now. I open up and say what I feel. But life, as I said it before, is now good.
Yeah.
And before lockdown, I was ready to give up. Now, I'm looking forward to adventures at
Yeah.
my age.
Oh,
And that's all through being part of the study.
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to thank you both, Mary and Richard. I think you've shared your experiences with us, and it sounds like it has been a really positive experience for you. So thank you so much for coming in to talk to us today and telling us about what Basil did for you.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.